And welcome to another week of Roll of 24 for the week of 25 May through 31 May 2026. For this week's Roll of 24, again we have an eclectic mixture of various photographs. Here is a photograph I took out at Enchanted Rock. I call it the Enchanted Forest, where when we started the trail, we being Charlie and I, it was foggy. Another interesting opportunity that I went out on, I couldn't take Charlie because of the large crowd, was a presentation by a Korean dance group that was performing at a local weekend car show that was going on over at a restaurant called Bubba's 33. Charlie and I went out to Stillhouse Lake for some photo capture, and had an opportunity to capture a very unique insect, a four-winged dragonfly, very interesting creature. And of course, we can never let a week go by without capturing Charlie in action. Charlie had been playing down in the water and came rushing back towards me, and I captured this in another scene. The purposeful picture this week was actually macro photography on the ground, and I took a unique approach this week. And while I was on the ground, and this is a macro shot, it's of a flower growing in my neighbor's front yard. Very interesting. And while Charlie and I were out at Enchanted Rock, we walked down the East Trail, loop that goes around the whole park, but we started on the East Trail. Very different than the West Trail, and captured several flowers, and this is one of them. Very pretty. And here in the very first image for this week's Roll of 24, as I stated, the purposeful picture this week was macro photography, and the extra challenge was on the ground. And so I took a different and unique approach towards this one. This is the neighbor that lives across the street from me, and he had these really pretty daylilies growing in his front yard. And I'm glad I went over that morning to capture it, because later that night we had a storm that blew in, and the flower that you're looking at was totally destroyed by the evening storm that night. And so here is the black and white version of this. Actually, it's adaptive black and white inside of Lightroom with a few additional adjustments. And I thought that the color picture, which you're going to see next, is very vibrant and everything else, but I wanted to see what this one would look like. And I was trying to, in addition to the purposeful challenge of being on the ground in macro photography, I was trying to emulate a profile of a Kodak XT 400 film profile. And I think I accomplished it pretty well. And now here is 2 Bravo, the color image. As I said, this flower was very vibrant, and capturing it the way I did. And I was very pleased in the sense that I was able to capture the pistils in the front in pretty good detail. And now this was kind of difficult because I was on the ground and I was actually hand holding this. So you can see a little bit of ghosting over there at the 9 o'clock. Off the main flower and before you get to that other leaf. But that was the only area that was really ghosting on me. And the background with nice good separation, so the vibrant greens were separated enough to really make this daylily stand and pop with its beautiful orange. As I mentioned back there in 2 Alpha, the black and white, or no, 1 Alpha, or 1, where I took those pictures earlier in the day, and you can see here it's now 9:48 in the evening, and we actually had a severe thunderstorm that rolled through. It didn't drop a whole lot of rain as anticipated. It was supposed to drop up to 2 inches of rain, and I heard the thunder, so got the camera, went out and set up, and I was using the 30-second f11 ISO 100. And I had the 10 to 20 on, so I could really capture a wide breadth. But I stayed underneath the shelter because the rain did come. But it was very interesting. As I mentioned, the very first picture was my purposeful picture of macro photography. And while I enjoyed how that daylily came out, I had a pink lady growing in the backyard area by my gate. And I wanted to work and perfect this a little bit more. It's still not there for some reason. I can't get deep into the well where the pistils are at. And this is a 25 frame macro shot. I was using the R5 Mark II, the RF 100 2.8 macro lens, and I had it set at f9. Maybe I need to go to f11 or f13 to be able to capture deeper in. So Charlie was getting impatient with me sitting back there shooting the macro, and he kept on coming over and sat down and just stared at me and says, "When are we going to go?" So Charlie and I packed up our gear and we headed out to the wildlife management area over at Union Grove on the south side of Stillhouse Lake over in Belton/Salado, Texas. And at the end of the walk is when I captured this image. I was focusing on the flowers, but I really liked how the setting I had, even though I'm at f10, Charlie's blurred out. He was far enough back, so I just really liked how I composed this image of Charlie. So after I captured that image of Charlie, we left the wildlife management area and we headed over to what's called the Union Grove boat ramp. It's also where the RC airplane airfield is at. And Charlie and I showed up over there, and I'd taken some pictures of some gentlemen over on the fishing dock, and the water level at the lake is really high. And trying to get down to the lake, this gentleman was building his structure down there. His name's Daniel Carp, not carp per se, but he's out there trying to capture the carp record. He said he caught a 48-pounder the day before, but he said he had to bring a new scale because the record is like 52 pounds out here at Stillhouse Lake. So that gentleman, Daniel Carp, not his real name, but told me how to refer to him. Anyways, after we passed through his area where he had all of his fishing poles and everything, Charlie did pretty good. And I was able to let Charlie go on the short leash as he was playing in the water. And I heard the aircraft that you see here flying above. No idea what kind of aircraft it is, other than it took off from Robert Gray Airfield over there on West Fort Hood. And it was flying by. I don't see any markings at all on this. So once again, I have no idea what kind of military airplane this is, but I was just happy to capture unique opportunity. So it's a rare week if I ever let Charlie not get at least one or two pictures inside of the roll of 24. And as I stated, I had let him off on the short leash, which you can see coming down on our left side, his right side. And he had been probably about 30 or 40 feet away from me. And he was just so funny. He'd go into the water. He'd get all the way up to almost his back where his harness is at. And then he'd turn around and he'd just come charging out of the water. And so I was looking at trying to capture some insects and some flowers, and he just started coming right towards me. And so another target of opportunity. I just love how I was able to freeze the water in motion here in this image. And here is the second of two images this week of Charlie. And as I mentioned, so he comes running out of the water. This is just another opportunity. This time we were further down and there was no path or anything close to the lake's edge. So he came out of the water and just rushed up over into these flowers. And I was already trying to frame an image over here, which you're going to see in the next picture of a dragonfly. Of course, I had to hang around and wait for the dragonfly to return because everything was rustled up and moved aside. But I just loved how Charlie was looking at me, and I was able to capture this. I have 1/2500, and the camera preset the ISO of 6400. So I just really nice picture of Charlie. And here is the capture of the dragonfly. And as I just mentioned, I was focused on this dragonfly earlier before Charlie came rushing through the flowers and everything. So it skedaddled away, and Charlie was, this time he was just sitting right below me while I had the lens up, and this dragonfly came back. He was maybe all of I don't know, 10, 15 feet in front of me. So I really didn't have to crop in since I was using the 100 to 500 that morning. You can see I have 1 over 4,000 just in case if it's moved its wings, I wanted to freeze that motion. And the camera decided ISO 1000 would be perfect for 18% grayscale. I just loved again how the separation between the dragonfly and the background. And here is a close-up of that said dragonfly. This is just another image. It sat there. I probably got about 60 or 70 pictures, had the pre-capture on. And I just love the coloring. I don't know what's going on inside the veins there, but the way the sun was reflecting off the insect and just the whole scene, the background, I just love the bouquet there in this image. I didn't have to do anything to it. And just the beautiful coloring and the veins going through the dragonfly's wings. I never had an opportunity to see something like that except for a dead one, but they don't glow and emit such pretty colors. And this one right here, this is 11A because the color image is going to be 11B. I call this the etching sketch. That's why it's called etching. Back in the day where you used to have those etch and sketch machines and roll the two handles around to draw an image in there, and then once you were done you picked it upside down and shook it out. But while I was processing this, when I went in Lightroom to see if there was any spots or anything, there were none. But that image showed up and I was like, you know what, that's a pretty awesome picture. So I actually did a screenshot, then had to convert it from a PNG to a JPEG. And this is over here at a car show that the local Killeen Corvette Club was sponsoring for the Memorial Day weekend, but they held it the following weekend, not of Memorial Day. And this gentleman, I captured this. It says it's a 1966 Ford Mustang, and he had just pulled in. He'd probably been there 15, 20 minutes. But he's out there polishing it up and waiting for the judges come by to give him his judging. It's a pretty interesting car. There were a lot of interesting cars out there at this car show. I'm not sure what kind of car this is, so I just titled this one Car Show. I just love the paint job. And one of the problems, though, personally for me this day is the sun was just really coming down and very few clouds. So the future other pictures, you're not going to see that many clouds, but just really vibrant, the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and very well-maintained car. Very small engine block, which was kind of surprising. And you can see I did, just to keep the ISO at 100, I had to turn the speed up to 1 over 1600. And I was using a 135 prime for this image right here. And just like I did at the carnival several months ago, I did the same thing here. I had 3 different lenses with me, and I had the 28 to 70, the 135, and the 10 to 20, because I had the intention of getting as close as I could and really getting some exaggerated images from the various cars. And I just love how this Corvette, the way it was positioned, it didn't have a lot of signage or anything else like many of the other cars that made them really difficult to photograph unless you wanted to spend time in Lightroom removing things. But you can see some clouds here, but the sun was blazing down. But just a beautiful Corvette. I took one from the other side, but it didn't turn out as good. And here is another image of a more antique style car. And once again, I'm using the 10 to 20 Canon millimeter to f4, but the whole premise was I really wanted to get some exaggerated pictures using that lens. Really haven't done much with it in that type of format, and I just really loved it. I was maybe all of 9 to 15 inches away from the bumper of this car, but I just love how it turned out with the left and right. It's like a 45-degree angle. Really pretty looking car. So I'm going to call this a success. So photograph number 15 for this week's roll of 24 is I took many other pictures, though not all of them turned out that great, but I loved, once again, it seems like I focused on those cars that were red and or red yellow that really stood out. And what was interesting is out there during taking these photos, I did not even realize that because it was so bright that he had all these lights inside of the hood going down onto the engine. So if this was a nighttime or late afternoon car show, that would be really interesting to see the lights glowing down in there. Very pretty car, and I'm sure he's very proud of it. So I've now been at this car show for about 2 hours, and so now it's 11:30, and the car show sponsors had this local Korean group come out and do a demonstration of traditional Korean dance. There was 6 of them. One of them you cannot see because they're behind the leader right there in that teal-colored outfit. And it was very interesting. I do have a video of it that's going to play shortly. And once again, it was just something different and unique. You're going to a car show, and then all of a sudden you have intermission, and you get a presentation from a local Korean dance group. Very entertaining, and a lot of people standing around taking pictures.
The shower. Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right, we gonna wait. So please pull out your blue tickets. Blue tickets. Blue tickets.
Yeah, he's got one up there.
Blue tickets.
Truck in the very end.
We ain't selling them.
Next to.
When you register, you should get a blue ticket when you register, right? All right. Okay. Appreciate it. We gonna later on the show. We gonna call you back down, sir. Hopefully, get some people over to talk to him. If you need your bathroom squared away or some of the other things they got going on, please go see that gentleman over there. He's in the far corner. We also have Caribbean Ice. That's back there. They're selling ice, not ice cones, but ices. She got one right there. Is that good? He's back there in the back corner. And I'm looking for my, here she is. Love her first bites.
Hi, you guys. My name is Victoria. My name is Haley. My daughter. My name is Betsy. That's my niece. And we are London What we do
And so that Korean dance pretty much wrapped up the day there. And the next day, Charlie and I headed back over to the Union Grove wildlife management area. And I was hoping to do some bird photography that day. And I reminded myself that make sure you shoot some B-roll. And so that's what we've got here is some B-roll. None of the individual pictures turned out really that great, even though I was using the 100 to 500. Kind of wish I'd had the 200 to 800 out there because these birds were still pretty far away. And so even like this one sitting on the fence, if I tried to crop that in, then it would just be, it'd be all splotchy. So even the 100, 500, holding it up for a long period of time. Here's another dragonfly. This is over at the wildlife management area, not the one that I showed earlier, because that was captured the previous day out at another part of the park over by the Union Grove boat ramp area. But so I gave it a try to see how the camera, a little bit of focus breathing in there, really couldn't capture it that well. And so I had a good time trying to capture these birds this time, sitting there and singing to the wilderness. So now it's the 30th of May, and Charlie and I have driven down to near Fredericksburg, Texas, about 2 hours away. And we headed out. We arrived down there around 3:30. We did not plan on camping overnight. We did not camp overnight. We were down there to capture the flower moon rising from lookout number 7. I thought it'd be a great opportunity, since Charlie and I had been out there previously, to capture the arc of the Milky Way 2-3 weeks prior. And so, unsuccessful. This is the loop trail that goes around the whole park, and Charlie and I, we started on the east side. We would go back to the parking lot, drive around and relocate, and go up the west trail about 1.25 miles to get to the overlook number 7 for the full moon rising. And you can see right here at 4:30 in the afternoon, on the east part of this loop trail, you go down some, and while it had been cloudy outside all day long, it seemed like there was a large amount of fog down here in this part of the valley. Pretty humid, probably only about 91, 92 at this point. The temperature was still rising, but I just love the capture of this tree. It's not the Sherwood Forest tree in England, but it sure did look pretty sitting down there in the valley. And as I mentioned, we're on the east beginning part, the trailhead for here at Enchanted Rock on the loop trail. It's like about 4.25 miles around the whole outskirts of the park. And it's one of the few areas, one of the few trails that you can take a dog on a leash on. So never been on this trail before, and we came through after we did the water crossing, which was very interesting because it's at the very beginning of the trail, and then capturing that tree with the foggy background. We come out and just beautiful fields of yellows and reds, just a whole field of different beautiful colors. But now you can see the clouds in the sky. So that was a little disheartening. It's 4:40 in the afternoon, and I'm like, are we even going to see the moon rising? And here is an image. I got Charlie's head in there, or Charlie put his own head in there. But just really vibrant flowers on this east trail. When you start on the west trail, it's almost like you're in the desert. There's a few cactus, a couple flowers, but it's all flat and rocky. But on the east trail beginning, this is what we encountered. So I was just really mesmerized in a sense that I've been here 5 times before, and I've never been over here before. So continuing our walk, the trail that I had Charlie's head poking out, we kept on walking along the trail towards the north, and we came out, and this is a 3-shot panorama of the Enchanted Hill, Enchanted Mound, Enchanted Rock, Enchanted Rock. Dogs are not allowed up there, so Charlie and I did not venture up that way. But I just loved how the clouds were still, well, really didn't love the clouds since I was out there to shoot the full moon rising, but I might as well make an opportunity when I had it. So I shot this panorama, made sure I had the leading line over on the left-hand side, and then the dark in the middle. So to conserve weight and everything, I did not have on my camera bag or anything, and I decided just to take the 24 millimeter. So that way, if I wanted to shoot macro, I could, because it is a 24 millimeter macro lens, but it also does great for these landscapes, which you just saw in the last image. And along the trail on the left-hand side, there were few, but a couple, maybe 10 or 12 of these really pretty gladiolas, I don't know how to say the name, but they were just really vibrant. We're still late in spring, so capturing flowers is probably going to be few and far between after the journey out here this week. And here in frame 23, the white prickly poppy. These were few and far between. I'd say about every 30 feet, maybe I'd see one. And some of them were literally out there inside the cactus, and I was not willing to venture out. This one, though, was close, probably about 2 or 3 feet off the right-hand side of the trail that you saw Charlie walking on earlier. Just a super pretty picture. Once again, I did 5 frames for this to focus stack because I was doing a handheld, so I was kind of moving around. And so put this through Photoshop to focus stack this. Turned out really pretty. And welcome to Roll of 24. Today is Saturday, the 30th of May. We are out here, we being Charlie and I, out here at Enchanted Rock. We were here 2 weeks ago and captured the Milky Way in an arc formation. So we are out here today trying to catch the blue moon. It's 6:30, the moon comes up in 2 hours, and it's not looking very good. But we hauled all of our equipment up here. Probably more than what I should be carrying at my age. So we're going to go ahead and hang out here and see what happens. So if I get more fortunate and the clouds behind me move over in the next 2 hours and clear up the sky, we'll see what we get. And here's Charlie Dog down here with all the gear we hauled up the hill. Walked about a mile to get up here. Let's see if we can turn this thing around. Let's see, where are you at, Charlie? There's Charlie Dog. And he's up here. He's got his dog bone, but he's not hungry. He's just tired. There's all of our gear. We got 3 different cameras, 2 ground tripods, one the lightest tripod I have. And once again, here is the view with a lot of clouds. It's presently 6:30, so we're hopeful in the next 2 hours it all goes away. Well, it's now still the 30th of May, 2026, and we are now at 8:32. The moon should be rising here within the next 5 to 10 minutes, and we're starting to get some clear skies. It was unsure originally. Let's see what we got going on here. And we got Charlie walking right in front of our stuff on a leash. So we're starting to get some clear skies, and hopefully we'll get a blue moon rising here. So hopefully everything turns out and we can include this in our week of 24. And here is number 24 for the roll of 24, but I do have one bonus image that's going to follow next. And so you can see it's 8:29 in the evening, and while I'm facing east, you can see that there's still a large band of clouds over the area. I'm facing east because that's where the moon is supposed to rise in about 20 minutes. And while behind me to the west, there were openings in the clouds. Not enough, but we stuck it out, and as you can see here in the bonus picture, I ended up having to shoot that with my phone because I'd already torn down everything. And here is the bonus image. This was taken with my iPhone Pro Max 17. So you get some weird funky colors when you put it in there because it's shooting at HDR, and then when you go into Lightroom and turn the HDR off, you lose a lot of the coloring and everything else. And so did a little bit of adjustments on the ground because it was just solid black. That was that grass where I had the cameras set up. Remember seeing Charlie walking through the scene earlier. But here is the moon. It did come up, but like I said earlier, I'd already taken down the 3 cameras, and Charlie and I were getting ready to hit the trail, heading home. And I hope you enjoyed this week's, once again, an eclectic array of various photographs from insects to Daniel Carp out there at Stillhouse Lake trying to break the carp record at the lake, to my attempt and Charlie's attempt to capture the full moon rising, which of course you saw was not a success. So once again, thank you for watching this week's Roll of 24 for the week of 25 May through 31 May. And I'll see you again next Wednesday. And if you enjoyed this presentation, please consider subscribing and hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.